Welcome to a new herping video from the holiday island of Bali in Indonesia. My main purpose for visiting here was to get a diving certification and to visit Komodo Island, which will be the next video. But I did manage a few nights herping which I've documented in these videos. Now, just on a quick note, this first location I visited was actually off limit to the public at night, and I did ultimately get kicked out. But I genuinely didn't know when I went in, so please don't aim to herp there if you know the location, but here's how it went.
Don't think I fancy a swim in there. It's a bit spooky, this herping in an abandoned theme park. The waves crashing from the sea on the other side over there. Looking for snakes. I'm just trying to, seem to have snuck my way onto an island here. I can't get over there, and obviously I've got the pool there, and it just seems like a perimeter, like, moat. So I think that wobbly, crumbly old concrete bar is going to be my way over. There's absolutely loads of Certidactylus here, and loads of frogs as well. So there's definitely the prey species in abundance. I'm sure there's some snakes here. I just need to find them. This is spooky, but I have seen a lot of videos and stuff where Chimaerosaurus insularis is on drier foliage like this. And this is quite dry, but we did have a bit of rain today, and so I think conditions are, I think we should have a chance here. So I'm going to persevere. I'll film going over this just in case I fall in. That'll be good content. This is, I can't see another way off this island, so I'm going to have to chance this. Oh, is this wise? Yeah. Light work. Oh shit. Jesus. It literally just crumbled away as I was getting over. I think we'll try and find another way out of here. Got a good old tokay gecko here. Gecko. Proper underrated species. You can hear them throughout Southeast Asia calling their classic name. Great food for some snakes. Yeah, I just thought I'd show one because no one ever shows the common old tokay, but I think they're really cool, proper nice with that, the blue colorations in the red spots. Let's keep going. He's absolutely monstering these moths that my torchlight is just, not moths, sorry, but whatever bugs these are, my torchlight's bringing them all in. It's getting this dude a hell of a feed. He's just had like 12. That's ace. I think we'll leave him to it because I think my torchlight is definitely biasing this interaction somewhat in favour of the tokay. So, not that these flies are not abundant. They are absolutely smashing into my face as I'm filming this, but at least it's giving him a good meal for the night. I've got absolutely no sense of direction here whatsoever. I don't know what areas I've covered, what areas I need to cover. I'm just walking around kind of aimlessly, scanning for any snakes. Mostly on the ground really. Bungarus candidus, Lycodon capucinus. A lot of snakes are here, but there will be arboreal species, Chimaerosaurus insularis being the primary one. Retics also maybe up in the trees, and Boega dendrophila would be a nice find. Let's keep going. Certidactylus absolutely everywhere. Surely we've got to be on for a snake tonight, surely. Got a Scolopendra species here. Not something I know a lot about, but any entomologists might probably like that one. Certainly not something I'm going to be handling. That's more of a sizable tokay. They are actually absolute units when you look at them. For a gecko, that's a beast. And so beautiful as well. I don't know how it's looking on camera, but on the phone screen it looks really nice. Beautiful animals. I think I'm in a good area here. I've got this bank up to my right, and to my left I've got a wall to work along, so it looks fantastic, I have to say. But it's actually herping a bit slow tonight.
At that point I got chucked out of the abandoned theme park, and so I thought I'd switch my targets to a seakrait and started walking a nearby beach. And as you're about to see, it did yield the first snake of the night, but not the one you would expect, in the form of this young reticulated python, set an ambush amongst the boulders.
Well, that escalated quickly. I'm out here looking for laticauda, yellow-lipped sea kraits, and we saw that retic on the rock, and I wanted to try and get a few shots of it, to be honest, but it's just come flying out onto the beach, and this is just a surreal place to see a reticulated python. Well, I've just taken this python off the beach because it is not where he belongs. And I'm just doing a few pictures of him that are not the best in this not very good location, but he's staying still for a minute, so I thought I'd show it. This is actually the first wild reticulated python I've ever seen, so I'm actually pretty stoked about this. Obviously they are the world's longest snake. That's the straight to fact about these guys. Not the heaviest, that'll be the green anaconda, but these guys reach a longer length. It's sort of weird seeing one in the wild after, you know, seeing so many in captivity. I hear people a lot say they're really fat in the wild, in captivity, and the ones in the wild look kind of thin, but this one looks a pretty healthy snake to me, and I can't believe he was just chilling. He's obviously crossed this road and he's been chilling on the boulders by the beach there.
The more I think about it, the more I realise that python was sat in ambush because there were many rats amongst those rocks. But at the time, I really was wondering why it was there and thought there might have been something wrong.
It's actually sitting really nicely now, so I thought I'd do one last clip. Sometimes I think I've waffled on for too long. Sometimes I think, oh, I probably didn't chill that snake enough now. What else can I say about these guys? We can see with this python, obviously it does have pits, but they're different to the pit vipers we've been seeing. Those pit vipers have what we call loreal pits, which are located between the eye and the nostril. These snakes have what we call labial pits, these pythons, because the pits are along the labial scales, supralabials, along that top jaw there. Just a little bit interested. So these can sense heat in a similar way to the vipers. The way those pits work is there's an outer chamber, then there's a highly vascularized heat detecting membrane, and then the other side of that there's an inner chamber as well. So it's probably nerded out enough now. Let's get this one back. Well, I decided I will put him back down in the boulders because I don't actually know what he was doing here, so we'll let him go back down into a nice crevice. Wow, he vanished quick, because that's where he obviously wants to be. He's sheltering down there. What he's doing, I don't exactly know. It's not the worst place to shelter, but it's certainly not the best. Obviously there's people everywhere, you can see it's not exactly very primary habitat, but it's better off being over there, to be honest. But that was a really nice encounter. I'm glad we saw that snake.
The next day and night I decided I really wanted to target a seakrait, and so I walked some shallow reefs at low tide, hoping to find one, and then headed back out to do the same at night. Apologies that these clips are the wrong way up, but I just wanted to show the habitat that I was targeting.
Okay guys, night number 2, out looking for laticauda. Today I'm on a different beach, different location, and we've got slightly different topography of the shoreline. We're going to be trying some rock bommies, one of which that big thing's on. And hopefully we're going to turn up some sea snakes, because that other location wasn't very successful, apart from that reticulated python, which was a bit weird, but the more I think about it, the more rats I'd seen around those boulders, so it does kind of make sense. But I don't think we're going to find one here. Hopefully we'll find laticauda. Let's see how we get on.
To my surprise, it wasn't long before I had some success, and as you can see, it was a pretty lucky encounter.
I don't believe it. I found one. This is exactly what I was looking for. Laticauda colubrina, the yellow-lipped sea krait. Fantastic. I'm really stoked to find this. I'm 2 or 3 days into searching for these now. Look at that. You can see that flattened tail as well for helping it swim at sea. And we found this one on the back of one of these bommies. And I am just overjoyed to find this. This is fantastic. I know I'm getting waffly again. I get right soppy when I find a target, but this is just the perfect way to see one. Just literally exactly how you'd imagine one, just crawling across a rock. Well guys, we've actually got another one here. Laticauda. I've obviously found a good spot for them, which is really rewarding. You can see that flattened tail. that it uses to swim around on the coral reefs out here hunting fish. And those fish are the reason for this having such a toxic venom. If you think about a forest snake, say it bites a rat and the rat's still got 10-20 seconds left of running, it can't get that far and the snake can go find it. Whereas if you're a snake and you bite a fish, in that 10-20 seconds that fish can have gone a long way. And especially on a coral reef, there's always going to be another predator that's there to mop that up. So that's the reason that these snakes just have that fast-acting neurotoxic venom. They are, of course, elapids. I mean, these snakes are also famous for not biting. I hear that snake shows put them around kids' necks and things like that, but I would never take the chance. A lot of people free handle them. I won't be, just because of how potent that venom is. I've no idea where I'd go if I got bit. But apparently they very rarely bite. This is Laticorda colubrina, which is a much more common snake than Laticorda laticorda. It's separated. We can see it's colubrina, the yellow-lipped seakrait, because of that yellow on the head. That would be brown or a darker blue if it was Laticorda laticorda. And also, while I'm nerding out, if we were to do a mid-body count of the dorsal scales on this snake, which is a count of the dorsal scales around the snake from one side of the ventrals to the other, we would find that this snake had 21 or 23 dorsal scale count, whereas Laticorda laticorda has 19. I think I've nerded out enough on this snake. I'm going to try and get some shots, but if not, at least we've got to see it, which is really, really nice. Well, he's sitting still. I have moved him just onto the beach, so I didn't lose him, because I did lose that first one. Like I say, handling wise, they are very, very venomous elapid. So I don't choose to take any chances. If you want to free handle him, that's your choice. I do see a lot of people doing it. I will also say a lot of water snakes, freshwater or marine, don't have that body strength to come back up on themselves because they do spend a lot of their life immersed in water. However, this one did seem to have a fair bit of strength. And yeah, it's certainly not something I'm going to free handle. I am really, really happy that I found this snake. It's one that I really wanted to see throughout Southeast Asia. It really sort of combines my love of herping and my love of the sea. I spend a lot of time by the sea in Southeast Asia fishing anyway on this trip, so it's nice that I've managed to find a snake as well. You don't find a lot of reptiles in the marine environment, but turtles, crocodiles and these guys do give us a bit of saltwater herping. So I'm really relieved to find this snake. This was probably the #1 target of mine, and now we'll aim to find Dromaeosaurus insularis, because I don't think we're going to find one of them out here. Although we did find a retic on the beach last night, so never say never. But what an opportunity to show you such a beautiful snake. Fantastic. Let's put this one back.
After releasing the seakrait, I called it a night, and then the next night that I got to go herping, I decided to head inland and target a boiga species I was yet to see by road cruising and walking around some small pockets of foliage amongst the rice paddy fields.
Not sure you're barely going to be able to see this because I'm right at the limit of the torchlight, but there is a sleeping water monitor, Brana Salvatore, just sleeping vertically on that palm tree trunk there. Second find of the night. We're going nowhere near him. We're going to leave that one right alone and carry on herping. Thought I'd just show this because it might be quite interesting to people. There's a snail and I believe it's spawning. I do not know a lot at all about mollusk reproduction, but I believe slugs and snails are hermaphroditic, aren't they? They can assume both genders, both sexes, I don't know. But yeah, quite an interesting sight. Well, I don't know if you can hear me, and you're probably not going to be able to see this, but up there is the target species, Boiga dendrophila. But I think that is as close as we're going to get to it, because I am not hiking up this palm tree. Hopefully it might move down as the night progresses and we'll keep checking in, but I've just parked the moped. I thought I'd take a picture of I found a cool moth up there, and I thought, don't be daft, have a quick look around, look up, and I just saw up there the target species. Can't really, yeah, it's not really doing him justice at all, but we'll try and get a closer look of one than that, because that's not ideal. Well, just like I suspected, I played the long game with this Boiga dendrophila, and we've actually got it
and we're going to be able, A, I'm going to be able to show you guys it, and B, we're going to be able to take some shots. I did think it would come down on its own. I was just a little bit early is all it was. These snakes, they spend their nights up in these trees, and then when night falls they come down onto the ground, and I was just a little bit early getting here. But this is a beautiful snake. This is, just ate a fly. This is the target achieved. Fantastic snake. The head is way better than the Boiga melanota I found. I'm going to try and get this one sat nicely, which might be easier said than done, and hopefully we'll try and get some shots. Show you him a little better without the hook. You do have to be a little bit careful with these snakes. I've seen some fairly nasty effects from the bites of this species, so it's not something I would let bite me. I'll handle it as if it was a venomous snake, which of course it is. These are rear-fanged venomous snakes. They do have a toxin, and that is what can give quite nasty effects in some cases. I've heard of bites doing nothing. I've heard of bites giving very nasty effects. I've heard of bites giving instant headaches as well from this species. Like as soon as you get bitten, your head is banging like a migraine, which is quite weird. But yeah, what can I say about these snakes that I've not already said? Of course, the pitviper rear fang, like I said before, they feed on a varied diet. Mostly, I would imagine, rodents and birds, being arboreal and terrestrial hunters. And they're also quite aquatic snakes. Obviously we're right next to water in some paddy fields with some quite large trees around. One thing I will say is, having not had much experience with these snakes in captivity or in the wild, I've only found 2 Boiga melanota and this one Dendrophila, and I can certainly say the Dendrophila is by far a much less defensive snake in temperament than melanota. Which of course you can't blame melanota for, but this snake, it never once struck, it never tried to bite me. I do handle them all in a way in which they can't bite me, as if they were venomous snakes, front fang venomous snakes, but this one really did not give me a hard time at all. It was a little bit hard to get to sit still, and obviously you don't want to disturb them too much, but I really can't complain at the temperament of this snake at all, and it was certainly a lot more chill than the melanota. These Dendrophila, I have looked for them across all of Indonesia that I've been to, also on Borneo, Malaysian Borneo. I looked for these guys and I didn't find any, so it's really nice to find one. But on Bali, they do get black and white. You do find black individuals with white stripes, and that will be really cool to see. And I did come to this area based on it being the only small cluster of records. Other than that, they're just dotted around, and I was just looking for good habitat, but I thought I'll give this a go, because it does seem like it has slight reliability. There were some quite recent records, and it's turned us up a snake. So, nice when a plan comes together. Let's let this one be now. There it is. None the worse for wear. That was a great snake to encounter. I was trying to make a diffuser out of a COVID mask for these pictures, so they aren't the best, but this one's my favourite one. Well, yeah, I didn't really have time to do an intro at all there, because we were straight onto that mangrove cat snake, but we're starting herping now. As I say, it is always nice. That was the main target for tonight. So when you pick an area, you decide on it. It is always nice when it proves fruitful for your target species. Let's see if we can find something else. I'm not going to give it much longer, to be honest, because we found that the target species straight off the bat. I better not stay out too late. When I don't find anything, I do push it a bit later, but no need to stay out too late tonight. But there are records of Indonesian spitting cobras here, so wouldn't that be the icing on the cake? Well guys, I think this goes down as my most eagle-eyed spot ever. I was riding the bike and I thought I'll just give it one last cruise before I go home, and I saw this little tiny squiggling thing floating in the water, drifting down river in this little ditch. I thought, that's a bit big to be a leech. And I was like, I wonder what it is. It didn't really look right for a worm or a leech. And it managed to get onto the side, and I've crossed this plank. I've managed to knock it into my hand because it got kind of tangled up with a twig. And I think what I've got there, probably not. Can you see that? We've got a tiny little worm snake there. I'm just going to gently take this stick apart and place it on this leaf and have a look. But that is the hardest snake spot I've ever seen.
Well, I've just extracted it from that twig, which it managed to get in by the side of that ditch. And it is a blind snake. I cannot believe that. I can't believe I managed to spot that and bother to check it out. That is tiny. I'm going to try and get some pictures now. Let's slow down a little. I might lose it, to be honest. Like I've got no chance of picking it up. I know this is not the best camera work. They do get a lot bigger than this, but of course they're not big snakes. Against all odds, it's actually sat still for a second, although this phone is not going to be able to focus that closely on it. But this species as well is Indotyphlops brahminaeus, and they're known as the flower pot snake, and they actually get translocated accidentally all over the world, this snake. I believe you can find these in many countries they're not native to, and that's because they have such a fossorial lifestyle and they're so small. I said these get a lot bigger than this, so I was thinking of different blind snakes, but these actually might not get much bigger than this. But yeah, because they live in a fossorial lifestyle, they live in flower pots, example, and they get shipped all over the world in various different products and substrates, I would imagine, and that's how they get translocated. But at least we've technically got to see another snake, and technically that is a lifer for me, believe it or not. So, worth doing that extra road cruise.
I appreciate this isn't a particularly photogenic snake, and my footage wasn't the best, so again, here's some closer up pictures.
I've managed to very gently pick him up, and he's gone. Yeah, can't say it's the snake I've most liked to see this entire trip, but it was no species. Well, that's it for tonight, guys. Back at the main road. 2 snakes, not too bad, 2 lifers, and one was the main target species.
For my final night, I headed out with a snake rescuer that I'd reached out to on Instagram, and we headed to some of his favourite spots to try and find a Lesser Sunda Islands pitviper.
Well, we've just found the first snake of tonight, and that is Parias carinatus, the keeled slug snake. It's the only species of Parias that you found in on Bali. They're small, they're pretty, one of the duller slug snake species, but they do come in this brown and grey, but I have seen them quite yellowish as well, carinatus. This one's just chilling out here. We haven't placed him here, this is exactly in situ where we found him, on this stick, down by the side of this wall. He probably feels fairly protected here. And there's probably not too much I can say that I haven't already said about other Parias in other videos. They have a very interesting jaw adaptation that allows them to eat only left or right-handed snails. When I say left or right-handed, I mean the direction of the spiral on the snail, which is quite interesting. But yeah, that's a good start to the night, because we've literally just been herping for 5 minutes down by the side of some rice paddy fields.
I didn't spend very long with this snake because it was my last night and I didn't want to leave without finding the target viper, but here's a few pics I quickly managed.
Second snake of the night. Not going to be able to get anywhere near that, but that is one of the bronzeback tree snakes. Hopefully you can see that. I suspect that will be Dendrolephis pictus. That's by far the most common one here. Let's carry on.
We found quite a few of these bronzebacks, but I only took quick phone footage as I was minded to try and find a pit viper before the night was over.
Just found the first green Chimerosaurus insularis in situ, but this one is a little tangled up, so we might just try and get a little bit of a better look at this one. But that is the target of the night ticked off. Well, like always, this video might be blowing them out slightly, but we've just slightly repositioned this female Chimerosaurus insularis, the Lesser Sunda Islands pit viper, onto this twig so we can get a slightly better view of it. And it is a really beautiful green tree viper. Obviously I was really keen to see the blue one on Komodo, but to find one in green as well, I was sort of putting it off in terms of trying to find the boega and stuff, and actually it's a really beautiful snake with the red eye in the green body. It's actually a gorgeous Chimerosaurus. And really mellow as well. This snake hasn't struck once at all. And apparently these snakes are killed a lot on here, which is really sad because they really aren't a dangerous snake if you don't. I feel like you'd really have to mess with a snake like this to get bitten by it. So it is really sad. And also there's a lot of poaching. A lot of these iNight records, they're all skewed. They've been purposefully put in different places to try and deter poachers from taking these snakes, which is really, really good. That's the kind of thing we like to see. It makes life a little bit hard when you're a herper, but when you actually think about the conservation of these reptiles, that's exactly what you want to be seeing.
I should just clarify, it's never ideal to be skewing distribution records or falsifying data, but I just meant it was nice to see efforts being made to stop the poaching and killing of these awesome little snakes.
Well, we're just about to, we've just done some shots with this little pit viper. We're just about to pop it back where we found it. Looked on the ground. And there is a Brahminy blind snake down there. Try and show them for you. Probably not focusing. Oh, nuts. Yeah. Not quite as interesting a snake in my book, but it might be some people's cup of tea. We'll just leave him to it.
That pit viper was the finale of my night's herping on Bali, and unlike a lot of the snakes I found here, it photographed really well. Thank you very much for watching, and I'll see you next time where we head over to the iconic Komodo Island for some truly spectacular herping.